Welcome to the Reboot Chronicles, connecting you to the world's top leaders and CEOs rebooting their organizations and themselves with revealing stories to help you prosper in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean DeBias, and as a serial CEO who's led dozens of companies that created thousands of jobs and billions in revenue, my passion is uncovering powerful lessons that can inspire you to reboot your organization, your career, and your life. Listen and subscribe wherever you get podcasts or at rebootchronicles.com. I'd like to welcome Chris Smith to the Reboot Chronicles. Chris is the VP of TELUS, one of the world's largest telecommunication companies with 140,000 employees that generate about $20 billion in annual revenue. With almost 20 million broadband customers across consumer, business, and government sectors, TELUS is leading the industry in tech innovation, customer experience, and growth. Headquartered in Vancouver, British Columbia, their passionate workforce has contributed close to $2 billion and volunteered over 2 million days of service. It's a lot. Earning the distinction of the world's most giving company. I would love to get that title. Chris, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, you guys are a big dog company in Canada, one of the largest companies up there. And I'm just curious what, when you look at your sector and you look at all the categories you're in and where it's going, let's say in the second half of this decade, just what are you bullish about? What are you excited about? Where the company's going?
Really excited about the innovation story at TELUS. We pride ourselves on being very different from other telcos, not just in the Canadian market, but globally as well. Over the past 20 years, you've seen telecommunications companies make bets on content, for instance, buying content producers, TV production companies.
So I can make fun of Comcast here, is that?
Things along those lines. TELUS took a very different path, and we started down the path of healthcare in Canada and growing a healthcare business, really with a social purpose outcome of creating better health outcomes for Canadians. And a big part of what we brought to that story was connectivity and applications and a consolidation and a story for Canadians that you can get better health care through better service, and underpinning that service, connectivity and data management. And TELUS has built a really great story there. And so we've been in the healthcare business for coming up on 20 years now, and we've more recently grown into agriculture and consumer goods. Same kind of theme around creating better outcomes for Canadians, a little bit tied to health, but also visibility of food supply chains and being able to track and trace your food supply all the way back to the farm and helping farmers be more productive.
Well, that was a good bet.
Great bets.
Wow. And that's global. That's all over the world. The healthcare thing, it's like, how many? I think it was like over 100 million or something subscribers, users. How big is that business?
It's a huge business, huge business. And the biggest challenge is that it's typically so fragmented. Governments obviously fund in a payer model in Canada, but when you look at the applications that get used in the doctor's offices and out to patient care, fragmentation and consistency of data back and forth between the doc's office, the government, and the end patient, the customer, is a great opportunity for
this country. They thought HIPAA would fix it. It actually made it worse.
Yeah.
I fill out more paper.
I'm sure.
I'm like, I just filled this out. They're like, no, it was a year ago. I'm like, oh. I just looked up. It's 76 million people worldwide through your preventive medicine. It's pretty impressive. And then ag, I was looking at some of your ag stuff. Did that start like an IoT kind of business where you're able to track things and
there's so many points. Similar fragmentation story when you think of it, starting from the farm and the needs that farmers have for more productive farms at lower cost, all the way through the food supply chain to the grocery store.
Wow.
And you mentioned IoT and things like sensors in a grocery stores, refrigeration systems, and those small internet connected devices create great value in terms of giving you confidence in the food supply and really give businesses, government, and end customers a great outcome.
I guess back to the consumer side, when you look at the broadband services and I guess, I don't know if you call it mobile or cell now, but yeah, what's going on there? What are you really excited about? What's going to happen there? I mean, in terms of, from the handset guys, the growth and innovation story, it's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of competition. Consumers could get anything anywhere now. But you guys continue to grow and kind of knocking it out of the ballpark from a CX point of view, customer experience, or whatever we want to call it these days, which I don't really say much about people in your sector.
Two big trends
compliment coming from me.
Thank you. Two big trends that we're seeing right now, further to social purpose and how we see supporting Canadians and giving back and helping do our part to protect the environment. The sustainability story on devices, right? Classic. You buy the new iPhone 2 years later, you hand it down, or maybe it goes into a drawer never to be seen again. TELUS acquired a company called Mobile Clinic a number of years ago, which is repair and refurbishment. We've done a really good job of integrating that into the fabric of the business so that we've got a story of recycling and reusing devices, so that when that iPhone 14 is done its life for the consumer over a 2-year period and they're ready to upgrade to the new device, we'll buy that back and we'll refurbish it, and then we'll put it back into supply at a lower price point, obviously, to customers who are more value oriented. And so we can see a world where we're selling devices 2, 3, 4 times to customers, and that keeps them out of landfills, keeps customers using the devices, and creates a great experience at a lower price point.
In the same country? You're not like shipping them to some... Interesting.
Yeah.
So I have a drawer full of iPhones and a drawer full of, I'm mostly an Android guy work-wise, so I always, they're all Samsungs. What should I do with these now?
Let me know. We'll see if we can do a deal.
Well, what I really meant is the data. It's just like, I'm afraid to let anyone have those because I haven't stripped everything out of there. Mostly, just photos and stuff. It's nothing bad, but it's like, I'm probably the worst example. I'm supposed to be a tech guy. I'm the worst example.
So that's a big part of what we do.
My kids are like, where are the photos from? I'm like, look in that drawer.
Right.
And good luck powering it up. It's an old adapter.
We wipe them, we clean them, we certify them ready to go back out into the market. And you have confidence when you buy a device from TELUS that it's coming back clean and ready to go, serve your needs.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. I bet it's a big volume business now. Because you had to scale that. I used to work for a company, the ones where we invented the laser link for cable TV, and they actually had a company in Florida that refurbished telephones, office phones, and it was all retired people, so they had something to do, but that was a little different. I mean, refurbishing, this is you're down to the screen and the glass and the chipset, and it's
a pretty sophisticated operation to do it now. Yeah, a lot of robotics involved in it, and still a lot of people too. Yeah.
I've noticed that Apple, and I don't want to get too geeky here, but why not? The what do you call it? The upgrade process, the transference, the halo effect around Apple is like, oh, it's so easy. And then my girlfriend's like, no, it wasn't. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, with Android, it was awful. There's always something missing on my next phone. Actually, there's a lot.
Right.
Is that good? It's been a couple of years. I'm happy with one right now, so apparently, but. Is that any better now? Because
it's getting better. It gets better every year. And one of the things that people really appreciate is being able to come into a store, talk to a human, look somebody in the eye, have the confidence that when I transfer that content over to a new device, I'm going to walk out of the store with it working. And that's a big part of the customer experience we try to create, that they leave with confidence that their old device is in good hands if they've traded it in. The new device is working when they walk out of the store. And a big part of what we're doing, what we were talking about this week with Zoho, is then following up with that customer over the life cycle of their relationship with us, so that it's not a one and done transaction. You came in and you bought a device and you're on a contract or an equipment installment plan, and we'll talk to you again in 2 years when you're ready for a renewal. Exactly. What we're moving to is we're going to call you 48 hours later. And we're going to say, Dean, welcome to TELUS. We're thrilled to have you as a customer. How's your phone working? How's it working for you? Yeah. And we have a conversation about that. And, you're in the store and we didn't get a chance to talk about your internet services. Tell me who you're with today. And
God, here comes the upgrade pitch they're thinking.
And so then you get an opportunity, because believe it or not, customers don't actually want to spend 4 hours in their telco store talking about 30 different products. So that follow-up call within 48 hours, both has the benefit of the halo effect of you got this great new device, you're really excited, hopefully everything's working great, and you're open to a conversation then about other products and services, and that's worked out really well for us.
Do you find those people are solving problems at that point too, your folks?
Yeah.
Usually that's when it happens. They're like, yeah, I can't get this one thing.
There are usually some questions at that point,
Yeah.
and the teams who make those calls are pretty well trained. They do it in store, and they can help them remotely over the phone, but it's also a great excuse. Yeah, come on back in, and we'll help you with that.
You know, I used to be with AT&T, and so I know about the turnover in the stores, and we used to call them kids. You know, so I don't know what your age bracket is, but it's probably young. A lot of turnover, and so you don't get that ongoing relationship with the store. And you know, we talked about it yesterday on one of the panels. It's like when you do, you latch onto them. It's like, I want your home phone number.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
well, it's just my cell, sir. Like, fine, but I can text you anytime, right?
I got a guy, I got a gal. That's actually part of what we're doing.
It's a great concept if you could.
Those records, those customer records. I know it's Dean, and me as a store rep, I'm going to be fed Dean's information when it's the next time to contact Dean, so that it's me giving you a call. And I mean, I don't think we're being too naive in that we're going to be best buddies. No. But you're going to remember maybe you interacted with Chris, and maybe that's going to increase your propensity to buy again, or tell your friends, hey, you got to go see Chris in the store. He's terrific.
He's the best. He's also the VP. So what's your goal? What do you want to do with stores? What's your strategy as a company?
So big to the theme of the show, reboot for retail for us. And we've gone from a world of traditional bricks and mortar inside the four walls of the store, turn the lights on and customers will appear. Those days are now behind us. And with traffic declining, changing nature of shopping and buying patterns in the marketplace, we really had to rethink what is the future of the retail store. And what we're really excited about is helping our corporately owned stores and the part of the business I support, independent dealers and third-party retailers, develop a longer-term, more consistent, relatable, supported, efficient relationship with their customers, so that when those customers aren't coming in January and February, because believe it or not, the telco industry has trained customers to shop during Black Friday and the holidays, which is the most expensive time of the year.
So the auto guys.
For us, nobody comes in January and February, so make your own traffic, right? Dean bought at Christmas because we had great sale at Boxing Day.
You got a 4-pack.
Huge lineup.
For a family, yeah.
Bought a couple of lines, but we didn't have a chance to talk about home internet. So I'm going to call you in January and invite you back into the store because we've got a great special this weekend. It's targeted to you because I know your propensity to buy based on the profile that we've developed of you, and I can make an offer supported by the system tools that's just right for you and hopefully increases the chance you're going to come in store and make a purchase.
Yeah, a lot of data analytics going on there. I guess we have to call it AI these days. But my cynical marketing mind says, can I get and mine third-party data? It's like, hey, crime rate's going up here. Maybe I should do a security blitz. And, you know, internet's down a lot in this area from my competitor. So can you triangulate things better now based on what's going on?
We can. We're
not just like the Super Bowl down here. Super Bowl ads at that time of year. Yeah.
We're not actively tying in, say, crime rates, for instance, or other societal factors. No, but it's a good one. We rely more on the visibility of the data that we have within the telco environment, right? We know what you've bought. We know where you live. And we know our fiber footprint because we don't cover every Canadian home with fiber optic services today. But where there's a new build,
it's a tough one.
Or where there's a new opportunity, maybe a mobile internet solution for you, we know that based on where you live, and that's another indicator that we have to make an offer to you that's right for Dean and not just a blanket approach across all customers.
What are you excited about on the tech side? I advise the National Science Foundation, NSF, and a couple of my teams that I coach, quite frankly, are 5G, 6G, serious stuff. Is that a thing? 6G, is that something on the horizon? Or?
I'm sure it is. I think we're still digesting 5G, and because 5G,
especially when you're roaming, it's
100%.
It's not there everywhere.
5G is effectively a build on top of our existing network, and I'm not on the network side of the business, but we're still working through 5G upgrades across our network. We're leading in Canada, but there's still more work to do in that regard. It's not perfect by any means. So I want to see us get that right before we get too excited about 6G. What I am excited about on the tech side is the broadening of our product set into areas beyond the traditional telco. And we had a bit of a conversation about health and agriculture, but what I'm really excited about is home automation and built on our security platform. So we acquired the Canadian operations of a big home security company across Canada, and we've used that as the base to build a home automation story.
I think I actually interviewed them. What was that company?
Well, alarm.com, and we've acquired a number of them across
nice.
across Canada over the past 5 years.
Do you have a hardware partnership too, or?
We do. We have hardware partnerships that are enabled specifically for the platform that we're on. But what's super exciting is what we're building will be agnostic to hardware. So you probably got
exactly why I asked,
5, 10, 15, 20 internet-enabled devices in your house. I got to create a new username and password to get on this and on that. And I just want them all to work together, and that's what's exciting.
That's why y'all get along. Well, they don't. The Magnificent Seven doesn't like each other. There's a lot of reasons for that. So you can get that. What was the word we used to use? Interoperability in my home.
That's where we're headed, and that's what's exciting.
I have all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's but the other guys come in and they say, well, just switch everything over to Amazon or switch everything over to Google or switch everything over to whatever, and that's fine. And then years later, it's like you have 7 systems again.
Right.
So I think that's a huge market.
We're pretty excited
and
about it.
For you, it's probably a services model.
It's early days for us, but everything we do, and this kind of goes back to healthcare and agriculture, hangs off of the connectivity. So whatever devices, whatever services can use the bandwidth, both mobile and home bandwidth, is a great story for us because consumers getting great value out of their connectivity because of the devices that ride on that connectivity, and ideally will all work better together with us. That's pretty hard to leave a provider when your whole home is automated and all works better together on our connectivity than on one of our competitors.
Yeah, it's almost like an enterprise customer. Hard to unplug those sometimes.
It is.
What, when you look at the I guess what are your biggest challenges that you're keeping, that's really keeping your team kind of a little agitated these days? Because you are one of the most innovative. That's why we wanted to have you on in a refreshing way. But I don't think you were a legacy landline company at one point.
We were, in fact. And that's largely in our history now.
You don't act like it. It's refreshing. But so what are the big challenges that keep you guys up at night? Not just you, but the whole company.
Big challenges kind of come from that history of being an incumbent in Western Canada, and as one of the incumbents, British Columbia and Alberta, and a small part of Quebec, there's a lot of government at play in our business, and nothing politicians love more than being able to garner votes through intervention in
regulation
in a company's business. And we've got great relationships. I'm not on that part of the business, and I can't speak for that. But
they're also
great relationships with the government.
Sure, so.
But it's also a challenge for us on changing priorities, and never know quite which way the wind is blowing. Makes it hard to plan for the kind of generational investments we make in fiber. Fiber, return on investment is a generation, and we can't have governments changing policy on us on a whim.
And when you look at the business, you seem to have a global mindset, which is also rare. It's you don't see too many companies like in your geographic area. They're usually Eastern Canada. What's the culture like? Is where I was going with that one.
Yeah, I think
is there one company culture? Is it because you've got some very different businesses now, which is great.
We do. I think one of the things that separates TELUS is its culture, and the culture is rooted in our social purpose and the great things that we try to do for Canadians. And it certainly started in the telco space. You read off some of the incredible stats about our team members
almost
giving.
$2 billion donated in 2 million hours or days. Sorry, days. That's only since like 80s or something. I didn't read the whole part, but that's incredible.
And it's felt in the communities where we live and work, for sure. Yeah. Big part of our culture.
We sold one of our companies to Salesforce, and that was a big thing where everyone, it's the first time I experienced, but you had give back days. But it's so global, it was hard to feel it in each community because they're so scattered everywhere. Whereas you probably have a big local impact, at least from
it's a big focus for us.
HQ point of view.
Yeah.
What else are you excited about, either tech-wise or things you've learned at the conference here, or AI? Or
I think AI sucks up all the oxygen in a room, and separating the hype from the reality is the challenge.
I just throw it out there for you.
Yeah. I think in the telco space, we sit on these just massive volumes of data, structured and unstructured, and how to take advantage of that and use it in a way that can enable a sales rep, a contact center agent, our digital platforms to create a better experience for customers. That's the challenge and the opportunity for us that AI brings. Figuring out what's real and what's real now and what may be real a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. That's a bit of the trick, because you got to make capital investments. You got to make people resource decisions in a scarce, an environment of scarcity. Means you really got to be ruthless in prioritizing what you go after.
Yeah, we've had a couple of the CEOs on the show, both massive and smaller, like Core AI, who's automating call centers, and there's mixed reviews on this stuff. It's but the multinationals, or say the Global 1000, I mean, 10 billion and up, so you're clearly in that club. It's big money. So if they can automate something, they're going to do it. But what I see in your group is, well, you've got this customer experience gate you have to get through. It's like, don't mess with our customers. Whereas other people are just going to let the vendors sell the AI-enabled, we're talking call centers and stuff here, but it could be anything. And I think that human connection, that human touch, is something that's an asset for you. At least in your home country.
Something we've differentiated ourselves on in Canada. We adopted a customer's first mentality 15 years ago, and that
refreshing
ethos is kind of permeated everything we do. We're not perfect. Let me be 100% sure. You'll probably get some comments on your your podcast about experience with TELUS. No question. But I'd say everything we do starts with customers first. We don't always get it right, but that's integral to how we go to market and how we think about decisions that we need to make in the marketplace.
What's your leadership style?
Leadership style. Wow. Really centered on a collaborative, engaged team. Team member engagement creates so many benefits for an organization. I mean, we do an employee satisfaction survey a couple of times a year to ensure that we hear, how team members are feeling, but it goes way beyond that, because having an engaged team means people feel that they're not only being heard, but they can bring difficult decisions, innovative ideas. It doesn't have to be AI in innovation. The everyday innovation that you get through engaged team members,
right?
You add that up day in and day out, week in and week out, and there's huge cost and customer service opportunities through everyday innovation. And that starts with an engaged team, and we work really hard on that.
Yeah, I mean, since you're global, there's probably other groups that see the way you operate, in your home country, and that's probably foreign to them. I mean, the joke is, Canadians are nice, but I'm from the Midwest. It's a similar culture. But I go to New York, they're like, "What are you trying to do here?" I'm like, "Nothing. We're just being nice.
Right.
We just want to. We work for the same company. We want to grow." From a multinational point of view, it's do you see a lot of differences there? I know you said you got one culture, but it's just hard to fathom how it can work everywhere in the world.
Yeah, it is, and I think especially in a contact center environment, obviously we try to serve customers through digital channels. It's of course it's less expensive, but it's also more immediate. And nobody wants to sit on hold and waiting to speak to a person. And if I can get simple things
usually when I get my email
answered,
done,
so I want that done as fast as I can. And nobody wants to wait on the phone. But when you do connect to a person, having that connection back to the home country or the community that they're in, people want to know that you understand where they're coming from. And I think that's a challenge for all organizations. What we're really excited about with Zoho and serving customers in the community where they live is Dean's my guy at the store, in town, and if I got a problem, I'm gonna go talk to Dean.
It's a really good
that's my
point.
starting point.
Very hard to scale. I mean, Zoho's good at it because from an enterprise point of view, well, they will babysit you, but from a consumer, I can't imagine. It's
a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like, hey, calls coming in from Texas. Let me put my hat on. No, we digress. Let's end up with your. First of all, appreciate for being on, but people love personal reboot stories. Just we talk a lot about business and leadership and culture and innovation. And what about you? Any major thing you went through that kind of rebooted yourself in life? You used to be like me. You were a startup guy.
I was a startup guy. Started in Silicon Valley in the mid-'90s.
Too.
Go back.
We probably ran into each other.
Go back that far. And had a really successful run with a company that was sold and was a great exit, and then took some of the funding from that and put it into a second company that's based in New York City that ended up going under with the .com boom, and those experiences of rapid growth and success, kind of followed by the opposite, really ingrains in you what it means to serve customers and know day in and day out, like, am I making decisions that are going to see me through to the next round of funding or the next milestone that we have with the company. And I think that grounding, when I left early stage companies and went to what's now a $20 billion company, stayed with me the whole time. And even though my career went in a different direction from the startup world to kind of scale and impact we have as a multi-billion-dollar company, that stayed with me, and I think really helped me at TELUS.
No wonder you don't feel like a big company guy.
Yeah,
with the big company speak. But it must have been culture shock.
Culture shock for sure, absolutely.
And you moved to Canada or back, whatever.
Back to Canada.
Back home.
Yeah.
It's probably good, actually. But any advice you give for people making that move? Because it's happening more and more.
Yeah.
People going from small to big and big to small.
Yeah. I think the probably the biggest thing is the change in the orientation around what's important. And at a small company, everything's around getting to the next milestone. And as a business owner, like, I got to make payroll on Thursday.
Yeah.
And the stress of that is something that I don't feel in a big company, because I'm pretty sure we're going to make payroll on Thursday at TELUS. Whole lot of other stress, whole lot of different stress,
scale
more
stress.
So on scale.
Yeah,
and the kind of impact that we have across the country is a very different level of responsibility, and to the communities we serve in, to the team members on my team, and ultimately to our customers. I mean, the last thing a customer wants to let go of is their internet connectivity, and that's so important to them that that's great responsibility that we bear.
It's a good question. Would they shut off their gas line, their water line, or their broadband?
Broadband's going to go last.
I wonder what the decision tree is.
Broadband's going last. Yeah.
Like I can shower at my friend's house.
Exactly.
Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Dean. Thank you.
You got it. You've been listening to Chris Smith with TELUS. This is Dean Tobias with the Reboot Chronicles. I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.